Hello everyone, now we're going to get right into the workshop with Brian's company that we're working with. That's renewable energy is one of the core keywords. And we haven't done any keyword research or TLKT or any of the advanced natural language processing tools because the purpose of creating the ISDNA is to find out what the human questions are in the market around individual terms. One of the primary sources that we use is a website called Quora. Let's just go, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to show you. We're right here on the ISDNA. So we're down here at the bottom level. And remember, this is your solid foundation. What happens here, shapes, sculpts, and crafts everything through your perpetual lead magnet machine and your system. Okay. So here's Quora. Quora is a social media site experiment. The founders still consider it to be an experiment created by some of the original founders of Facebook who went their own way. The purpose of the site is to create a 100% social media driven question machine organized and curated by human beings that's self-regulating and self-organizing by users. And the users, people who log in and remain anonymous and provide crappy answers to questions get voted down, while people who provide excellent answers as voted by the people in the thread get voted up. It's a very powerful platform that uses RSS feeds. You can have your own boards and RSS feeds, and we'll talk more about that. Fortunately, we have an entire course on this called the Quora Empire course. It's available at networkempire.com. And we do give you, it is standalone, so you can take that, but it really was designed to help us with the ISDNA process. Now the exciting thing is that rather than, for example, you can use our software to save you hours worth of work. If you were to type in renewable energy, and I'll do that for you now, you can see that all of these themes drop down. When will Sapphire Energy start selling renewable petrol? Does O-Power blah blah blah? What is tax equity financing in renewable energy? Sometimes you have amazingly excellent questions that you never thought about that cross multiple markets. Like we just mixed taxing and financing with renewable energy. If I had a site on economics, taxation, and tax law on green code, that might be amazing, right? Problem is that you have a limit of about 15. Matt noticed this limitation, says, oh, we can't have that. Our users need to ask hundreds of questions. And we created something called Quora Bot, Quora Empire Extractor. What it does is you'll be able to type in your keyword or multiple keywords and drill down, and it'll extract hundreds, even thousands of questions directly out of Quora that are organized around your keyword. It does this pretty quickly, but it's going to be up to you to go through, and since it's bringing back everything with the primary keyword renewable energy, you're going to need to go through and make sure that the questions are appropriate for your keyword because they might not be related to your client, right, Brian?
Like Sapphire Energy's.
Yeah, like Sapphire Energy's, not only is it not useful, it may even be a competition. It might be them trying to get a social media avenue with inception, as we talked about earlier. And that's a good thing to do, but that's not the purpose of this function for you. So renewable energy is wind power the best. That's more in the category, this kind of stuff. These are things that the company, can I use the company name?
Sure, it's Clev Energy.
Yeah, Clev Energy, for example, might find a bunch of different things. Click on that one, Matt. The useful data that a lot of people don't even know is here on Quora is you can look down and you see this question has been viewed 211 times. I found questions that have been viewed 5,000 times that I have no idea how that's possible. Now, there's several reasons why. Quora is ranked very highly on the search engines and is becoming more highly ranked because of relevancy and traffic signals. Google loves Quora. Google now considers Quora as a part of the About Us social media identity verification. I do recommend that you do add your Quora profile, if you have one, to your Google Plus About Us page, which is your identity verifier. That aside, some of these posts, since there's a feed on individual topics, you could actually do /RSS here on /feed, and you have a feed for individual questions, you have a feed for individual topics, and it's very, very powerful. Point is that sometimes the views and the number of views on a question come from where it's been syndicated. You can syndicate the entire question. Some people are embedding them on their blogs. If it goes to a very high page rank site, it might be very high profile, and a lot of traffic can get to your question. This is why we teach a very careful system of inserting your own videos and links inside a question, because you never know where it's going to get syndicated. I have over 500 views to a question that was syndicated. Also, see promote question up here? You can follow a question, but my friend Guillaume, the owner of Scoop It, actually paid to promote one of the answers that I gave one of his questions, and it went to 700 people, and then that question immediately had an additional 700 views. That's a lot of people exposed to a question. And it would be really horrible to be exposed to that question without a video in the responses. That's why I teach all students to have video responses. Okay, bottom line is for ISDNA, what we need to use this for is to use Matt's bot to extract thousands of questions, go through them, remove the ones that aren't relevant for our FAQ. So we'll go to the spreadsheet. I'm going to show you everything that we just looked at, which took, 10 whole minutes? Imagine doing that for 10,000 keywords. That's not helpful. So Matt, let's go back to the
Spreadsheet.
Now you can see that in just a few minutes, and how many is there here, Matt? I'm just curious, like 50 or 100 questions?
317 cut.
370 is the count. Some of those, I take plenty of time to go through questions, so editing the ones that are irrelevant don't matter to me. We're going to go through a few of them. We'll see how long it starts taking and decide whether we want to actually film this whole thing. But I want to get people the idea of how to get rid of, shave away the useless data. Okay, so let's go ahead and blow the questions away that don't matter. The main thing I want you to be aware of is you can sort by number of views, and then this is not related. What are the best blogs about data? That got thrown in through what's called LSI and is related in some way to the questions. Okay, so now we have the arduous task, and the cool thing is you only got to do this once. This takes me longer than anything else in the ISDNA system. So the good news is we're going to get through this very quickly, and if you already know that this is the most difficult thing you have to do by hand, you should get pretty excited because everything else becomes easy.
I'll show some shortcuts how to use the spreadsheet to
Please do.
filter.
Yeah,
and
Matt's
to clean that up faster.
Yeah, Matt's gonna. In fact, please jump in whenever you're ready to do
So
that.
just when you start, just highlight your row and just select filter.
Okay.
That puts these little tabs over here. So typically start with largest to smallest for the views. So obviously the cream floats to the top. Then typically what you want to do is click on the next one and go to text filters,
Excellent.
select contains, and it allows you to put 2 filters if you want to. So if we go energy
Renewable energy is key. Yeah, and renewable will be a great one too.
or contains, the reason why I do this is so we get a bit of a broader view
Yeah,
for
definitely.
the words broken. Renewable, that's right. So we click OK. That drops it down from to 51.
Good. So you just went from 300, and again, I have discovered that sometimes there's pure diverse synonyms that we talk about as pure diverse, and I actually check through the rubbish as well, because sometimes I find words that I didn't consider that are the same things of saying the same way, and the questions are too important to miss them.
Or
Yeah,
questions
so-
you may not even complete.
Right, but do what Matt just showed you on this, because you can get to the most important ones quickly, especially if you're in a hurry, because sometimes you really are in a hurry.
Well, that's what you said, it spawns ideas. So if you get another idea and you can pick up the seed term, you might find out that, like for example, the first question is been viewed 984 times, and we've got software developers and computer scientists to contribute to making renewable energy more cost effective. So you could have cost effective as a keyword and stick that in the contains cost effective and see what the data set brings back.
Right, and there's several things I want you guys to be aware of as well, is that Quora unfortunately is in its infancy, and half of the users are geeks. That means people that spend all their day online. This question is the kind of question you get from the more common, and I'm not saying it's not useful for you, I'm just saying that this is kind of less of a question for people in the field and more of a question for geeks might ask, but it's up to you, Brian. What we'll do now is we'll go through each one of these, starting with the most number of views to the left and start blowing away stuff if it doesn't make sense. Okay? So let's just go ahead and do that. That's all there is to do. Is we got to choose through these questions.
Well, the second term in there would be something that I would key in on. Obviously, these are, if I'm going to be doing a project in my home on renewable energy, whether it's installing a geothermal or a solar panel, I want to understand what the top 10 public things that are being talked about energy. That would be my first broad-based search that I would be looking for.
Okay, so I'm going to leave it to Matt to decide. Every user has a different technique here.
Yeah.
How you want to extract the questions that are 100% relevant to you and put them.
What I usually do is let's go insert. I just type in keep,
Good.
and as I go down, I just put an X, and then I filter. So let's strip this down. I filter at the end of the process wherever there's an X, I just say show me all the X's, and I'm left with the short list of
Right.
the
That sounds
questions.
fine.
So you're just going down what you like. You just go down and you just click keep.
Yeah, and we have different level of skill spreadsheet users, and now we actually do need to show you guys below this video exactly how he's doing that. So we'll leave the filters for you, just anticipating our users. They're going to ask for it. Okay, so that's great. I'm going to read the questions out loud, and to make this a process that our audience can participate in, I'm going to read them out loud, and Ryan's going to say,
Yes or no?
turn it into a game show. Keep, hot or not.
Sure.
That's really what it comes down to, these questions, hot or not. Brian, are there any renewable energy sources besides solar, hydro, and wind? Is that a question?
I would say that's not.
Okay.
I'd pass on that.
How much land does 1 gigawatt of wind energy capture?
I'd
Hot,
pass on that.
pass. What are some of the top tier consulting companies that have active presence in renewable energy industries?
I would put an X on that.
Who are the top 10 IPPs for solar energy?
I would pass on that.
What schools in India?
Pass on that.
Yeah. What are some good books on renewable energy?
Pass on that.
I don't agree with you.
Well, if the business has ebooks on educating customers,
No, I do not agree. So just go ahead and put an X.
okay, I see what you're saying. Okay.
No, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
I'm saying there's some backdoor things here.
yeah,
Talk about branding as part of the curation
yeah.
way of getting people in. How effective are wind turbines compared to other sources of energy?
Not relevant to their business model.
Can anyone imagine a future powered by 100% renewable energy?
I would give it a yes and a keep.
Totally.
Yeah,
What's the future energy storage and how does it impact renewables?
keep.
Which Chinese renewable energy companies are moving quickly?
Pass.
What do angel investors generally think about startups that focus on renewable energy?
Keep.
Will renewable energy be developed fast enough to offset diminishing oil production?
Keep.
Okay, now what I'm going to do, since we've got our users involved here, so I'm going to ask you a question, and I'm going to ask you to do what you've already been doing. You said not relevant to their business model.
Yes.
I'm going to spot check you on a couple of those, and I'm going to lead you down a slippery slope.
Sure,
into your thinking.
sure.
Not because you're wrong, because I want to see if I can catch you. I want to, or help you, or just make sure, audit your process a little bit of thinking, so that they can have the experience of what their thinking should be. Who are the top recruiters for energy executives in New York, Washington, and Boston?
Pass.
Okay. What are the key differences between green, sustainable, clean, renewable, and alternative technology?
Keep.
Okay. So let's look at that a little bit. What's your thought processes on that? Why are you keeping that?
I think people have to understand the terminology and what it means to their own needs. So whether it's a farmer who wants a geothermal plant, or it's a residential urbanite who wants to do something green about a new home that he's building. So
Yep, good. And you're gonna find the data extractor and the keyword extractors in the audience. Very excited about this sentence. Why, Sue?
So many great keywords.
Okay, I saw you bursting over there, so I was like,
Well, and gray area. It's a
Yeah.
combination of gray
this sentence
areas
is
and keywords.
fantabio. It's also a sentence that you should drive traffic to your site from.
yes.
With one of their videos and one of their brand videos that's less marketing and more educational. The reason is that green energy, sustainable energy, clean energy, renewable energy, alternative energies were just established. Okay, and you can also learn more about this. Hey Matt, can you go to the right and let me show everybody the categories? You can see the seed term categories. I find the seed term categories, for those of you who've been with ThemeZoom for 5 years or more, are, how long have we been? You know what I mean. It's almost like climbing up the silo to see who's asking.
Absolutely.
A lot of times you'll learn that brands are also incepting questions. I think O-Power is a brand,
Yes.
okay? And what I like about that is you can start, what I want you to start paying attention to, man, is what competitors are using Inception on Quora. Because it's an incredibly, I can't emphasize it, it's an incredibly powerful technique. Because users on Quora are not like other social users. And the power that Quora has to create stickiness and low bounce rate and the rest is exceptionally high compared to things like Facebook or whatever else. So just be thinking about, if you look at the seed term categories, a lot of the time, some of the questions, some of the seed term categories that I find, these represent in Quora top level categories. For example, the category called Google Plus Marketing falls under a master category called Google Plus Products. There's something like 97,000 users and followers. If you learn how to use all these feeds on these topics correctly, it's almost like question siloing. And you can also find out, wow, people interested in aerospace engineering are super interested in solar panel technologies. Huh, didn't make that connection before. Obviously, that's something that you would know. I guarantee your CEO knows that. But these are things that they may have purposes later on. As you're doing your market research, as we talked about earlier today, SEO is not enough. You're also becoming a pseudo expert in the market and business topics within your industry. That helps you become a better consultant, which is what you already know. Okay, cool. What are the best energy efficiency renewable blogs to follow?
Keep
Thinking?
blogs.
But what's your thinking?
Obviously, it's an educational component. So
Over here!
Yes, of course.
It's 322, right?
Yes.
Okay, and nobody's probably syndicating that. Hey, Matt, is it easy for us to go back to Quora
Yeah.
and type in that question, copy that question first?
Well, what I've done for you is already grabbed the URL.
Oh, finally, excellent. Or I knew it was there before. But, okay. Let's
So-
do it.
Let's grab that.
Yeah.
Just replace that there.
So what Matt's done is put in the question, the URL string at the end of the Quora doc.
Yeah, on that spreadsheet, that's our current version. I have enhancements planned, but this is really cool right now. So, what are the best energy blogs to follow? We can see that it's had 322 views. It has one monitor with 1,942. We'll get into followers a little bit later on, but the Uber category that this is under is very, very rich. But I want you to pay attention to the answers. Go ahead and slide this up, Matt. Down, buddy. Notice that for a question that's been viewed 300 times, which is not that bad for a Quora question, there's not a single person. There are some links, but they've made the number one mistake in their backlinking. There's no image. You know, for example, Facebook is becoming entirely image-driven now on viral stuff. You add an image, and then you could put a video link in there. The whole video is shown with inside the Quora, at least in their last release. Okay, and it gets more attention, and your question is more likely to get loaded up because it's in there.
So you can embed your video.
Yeah, if you take a video and you add a comment, it'll simply make a large video piece of eye candy in there. And not only that, you get a backlink to your video from Quora. And do you have your PageRank thing on? No. Okay.
2 seconds. Come on. Let's just refresh the page.
This may not have PageRank, but there are several. Quora posts that I have that have PageRank 2, have it up to PageRank 2 and 3 on highly popular ones, 5,000, these types of things. Okay, so the point here is that this is outside of the parameters of the ISDNA process, but I wanted you to be aware of that, to keep yourself excited about ISDNA. There are now locations, while you're collecting the best questions around, or at least some of the questions out there, you can be planning your question-based marketing campaign. And you're going to be learning places that you've already done the work, combined with your whole giant marketing pyramid that we're working on, the stackable thing, while other people are flailing about trying to figure out what's going on. You're publishing, marketing, and creating questions at the speed of thought. Okay? So that's one of the things I wanted to point out. Also, we'll talk more. We talk in the Quora course about how you can use Quora wikis to literally silo your Quora account using Quora siloing. Because your wiki is like your top level topic, and you can drill down and you can organize categories right under it. Okay, we go back to the spreadsheet. Okay, and we'll go back to where we are. I think we'll give them a few more demonstrations before signing off. What are the best energy? Oh, okay, we got that one. Keep. Are airborne wind turbines plausible?
I would pass on this.
I have a question for you. I know it seemed a little bit iffy. Tell me why you're passing.
But this particular client only focuses on solar panels and geothermal properties. They currently do not want to engage in wind turbine.
Right, and I understand that. That's why I stopped you on this question. There's been a series of questions from students, conversations with Sue Bell and Matt and others that deal with this gray area. And I just wanted to put it on the table without providing an answer. Your product and service is not wind turbine. But my question for you would be, since it's a hot topic in the industry, could it be that there are reasons why your client if your client does not want to focus on our airborne wind turbines?
I can tell you precisely why he doesn't want to. In Picton, Ontario, which is where this company is from.
I'm writing a blog post while you're talking.
Right. There was an initiation to build an extremely large wind turbine farm in the community.
All right, you're creating a post now.
The community was dead set against it. They didn't want all of this stuff cluttering up their beautiful Prince Edward County, right? Even though it was on a fairly remote island in the middle of St. Lawrence, they still had to open up their farm door and look at it every morning. So there was a lot of, I guess, backwash and backfeed from the local community. And in hindsight, this particular company, which has a lot of installations locally with the farming community and with that residential community, obviously did not want to press that button by offering wind turbines as part of their product line.
Excellent. And
Yes.
Now, I want to point out two things as a position that you're going to have to decide with your client. There's two positions. If you're in a company that has a good news report and they like to add gray area, I do consider the airborne wind turbine a gray area worth writing about. If you have a news column, for example, if you had a news magazine on alternative energies, hearing from the CEO about why the air turbine thing happened, what you just gave me was a story.
Yes.
It's a very useful story.
It's a great
The
story.
problem with it, depending upon what your online strategy is it could be seen by companies that are in the air and wind turbine industry to be offensive and aggressive.
Yes.
And therefore, I can understand why you would not want to be done, especially if it's a darling to a company that might be your competitor.
I don't think the owner of this business would put that out there.
Good.
But I think that's what he's trying to convey, in the sense that he wants to get along with the community, but he doesn't want to push the wrong buttons by putting the wrong products into the
So I'm just letting you know how I do it. If I find a major compelling story that's controversial, and if it didn't have a little bit potential of becoming offensive, it's probably not a good story. I would probably ask my CEO, look, I noticed in Quora that there's some buzz. We don't have to keep this one like I wouldn't. There's quite a bit of buzz about air turbines, and if it was a big enough market when we researched in Kraken, I would not be able to ignore that market, even if it was not a product.
Right.
Yes.
If my CEO had taken a position against air turbines, that's officially a story.
Yeah.
He can either ignore it and put his head in the sand, or he can address it as a news item.
Yes.
So that's up to you. Okay, I just want to do
Yeah.
that. There's times when you should not do that. You don't want to create spin or controversy where there isn't a requirement for it, somewhere there's a potential PR nightmare. On the other hand, there's a lot of topics where you're safe talking about something in the gray area that is not a product, or why your product is not that.
Well, there's another thought as well, is you can discuss the differences between what communities actually prefer
Yes.
and what is the most viable solution. Because I know in Scotland, there was a whole uproar in the news where up north of Scotland, they wanted to do the same thing on the whole hill line. And one of the traditional clan leaders brought all the communities, so it's a typical Scottish, the clans gather type of
Get the
thing.
whole clan together and hit it.
Right, and I want to stay on protocol here, because what we've all been saying is I don't want to get into necessarily the story of everyone. What I want to get into is the exact protocol of queuing questions. There is a possibility that this could be made into a story. If you start seeing enough of the same thing and you keep avoiding it because it's not a product or service, write it down and talk to your client, talk to the CEO. It's usually a command decision at the highest level of art. We do it here too.
I think it's an important discussion point.
It's a great discussion.
I would sort of keep it as a tier 2 discussion, not as a primary discussion.
Correct, and I have a rule of thumb. If I keep seeing the same thing over and over again, content curation was an example of how I got involved in content curation. I saw it too many times to ignore it. And it was not something I wanted to address directly, but I had to. So I put it on a little tiny list, and then it came up in a conversation. I was going to write an article on it, but I didn't do it until I talked to Sid. I went through it. Because curation has a potential of obfuscating people who are working on a particular mindset. So before I addressed it, I took it to the editorial channels. So my rule of thumb is 3 questions with a significant number of views that keep coming up, and I'll jot it down as a topic of conversation for the publishing department.
Yeah.
Okay? And I might research it myself a little bit, but I'm not necessarily going to get lost in it. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, next one. Is it better to support a single renewable energy source or develop a number of possible applications? Yeah. Which consulting firms do the most impactful work in renewable energy, sustainable clean tech? Over here!
Big time.
What is tax equity financing in renewable energy?
I have to pass on that only because of the context that it's in. Because in the Ontario market, that particular tax incentive or program is under a different name in
Okay.
its context.
Is there the possibility that you could change that name and
You could rephrase that question.
Okay, and did you know that you can rephrase a question within that question? No problem.
Okay.
So that's something to consider. But we can leave it out if you want. You may want to put a question mark next to it, or what I would probably do is like, the reason I bring this up is because if there are tax breaks for renewable energy, I would keep in mind that someone has already asked it.
I think it's just the way it's said. Tax equity doesn't really antiquate itself to tax rebates.
Okay, so let's look at the ISDNA process, which is leading the witness down the slippery slope with a daisy chain of questions. What you just said is that that's not the right question. It's not saying that the question is not phrased correct. Is saying that's not the right question. That's fine. So tell them that
Yeah,
and link to the right question.
yeah.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you could say, well, because you're an amazing authority. I mean, it's Cleve, right? But,
Cleve.
Yeah, I've got the pronunciation
I mean,
wrong.
think
it's
about
Cleve.
the authority in there. Hello,
Yes.
whatever writer, blah, blah, blah from Cleve. In Canada, blah, 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 blah. So a better way of asking this question might be blah, blah, blah. Link, video, poof, page rank.
Yeah,
Easy.
the amazing thing with that is that it's bringing back a keyword that you might not find any other way.
Yes.
There might not be any tool out there that would bring back tax equity as being appropriate to, and yet if people out there aren't familiar with the tax jargon and they're using tax equity and you get in there and rank for that, hey,
Even having some relevancy in the terminology of tax.
A badly
is
phrased
beneficial.
question that contains excellent keywords is a good question. That's what
Nice.
Sue would tell you.
Nice.
A badly
I like that.
phrased
I like
question that contains awesome keywords is excellent.
It's an opportunity for redirection.
Correct.
Yep.
It's called slippery slope. It's the whole process of the last video we were talking about. So try to think about that. This takes practice, actually. What is the best hybrid renewable energy mix with solar for India?
Let's skip.
Okay. What I normally do to take that phrase out of there.
Change that to Canada.
Okay.
instead of India.
Yeah, I would just geo-target the question.
exactly.
That's what I'm saying. It's worth. That's level. If I was doing a really good job on this, I would be catching you on all this and saying, "Wow!" Under any stretch of the imagination, do I need that keyword? And if so, because right now you've been saying no and yes based on the keyword. And
Based
this-
on the set.
And
Not
I'm
so much
starting
on
to
the
dial in more on the
Right.
synonyms that are related to it. Yes.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is the master looks at the question and the keywords at the same time, and processes in either direction.
Also, the attention taken by the question. 259 equals 259 people's attention.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is called text summarization, by the way. What I'm asking you to do is to become a text summarizer and a question asker. Okay, so what is the best hybrid renewable? Okay, how does O-Power motivate its consumers to save energy? That must be a competitive brand.
I assume so, yes.
So, what are the most cost-effective efficiency renewables energies for green buildings?
Key.
Okay. UK's laboratory renewable energy.
Pass.
There again is another opportunity to modify it.
Unless you're redirecting it, yes.
See, if you find a geolocale, the chances are that people from other locales will also be asking the same question.
You gotta be careful though, you could get voted down. So,
No, but what I'm saying,
Doesn't have to be the same question. You can ask a
Yeah.
different question.
no, what
from
I'm
a
saying
different
is
account.
just because this question can be a blog headline within your own content that you're writing, not necessarily to Quora. That's how I often look at this: is what can I use? What headlines are catching attention?
Right.
yeah, it's a really tricky thing we're doing here because they can be headlines, they can be retargeting. If I know that I'm gonna be doing what I call a Quora campaign, then I have a whole different mindset. So I gotta be sure to keep you clear on your general. We'll just do general right now. Wind power, is wind power the best?
I would keep that in only to open the debate.
Okay. What is the future of renewable energy in Spain? Hot or not?
If you're in Spain, obviously it's a geo issue again. So
Well, we already have renewable energy in that Spain, so I'd
Yes.
personally keep it off. I mean, you guys might be different. I mean, I'm not really in a headline hunt right now. I do that later.
Right.
What is it like? Right now we're in a keyword extraction hunt.
Yeah.
Right.
In general sentence. What is it like to work in renewable energy development on a day-to-day level?
excellent question.
Are there any online schools teaching classes about
Excellent
Oh,
question.
good. Sorry. Are there opportunities for startups to disrupt renewable energy market?
That's an interesting question.
That's an interesting question. I would keep it in.
Okay, I'll leave it up to you.
Yep.
Which is better, electrical engineering, environment, renewable energy? What are the advantages? Blah, blah, blah.
Keep going. Keyword rich.
What are some good free white papers on green tech or clean energy?
Excellent question.
Wow, so good. Doesn't the coming zombie apocalypse warrant investment?
I gotta keep it in just because it's a funny question.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. I actually love that question. That's social
Fantastic.
media, man. That's social media.
That's a great
I have to
question.
say that my mind is twisted enough to use that in a campaign. Okay.
That's too much fun.
Yeah. What are the most, as long as we keep it fun.
Yes.
This, before you, by the way, I have to add a disclaimer, otherwise I'm going to have a lawsuit slap on me. If you ever decide to do what we call weird or cracked, you'll see a lot of the Frank Kern campaigns in Facebook and the rest. Everybody has jumped on the bandwagon and started to use weird ever since he launched mass control. And it's okay to do that, but now weird is going to become not cool or weird.
Weird is normal.
Yeah, weird is not going to be weird anymore. So what I'm saying is, like, when you're using stuff like this, make sure the medium matches the message. And Brian is working for a pretty high-end company. Check with the CEO.
Yes, we don't want to offend anyone.
Before you launch a zombie apocalypse blog campaign.
So, some keyword rephrasing would be appropriate here.
Not that I've ever done anything strange like that.
What? I won't name any specific campaigns.
No.
Another excellent question.
Okay, he already answered this one before I read it. What are the most exciting developments in new renewable energy? What will have the most impact on energy sector and why? Energy efficiency improvements, clean tech, wow.
Excellent.
I couldn't help myself. What's the best source of online technical training in renewable energy technology?
I think we addressed that in an earlier question, but I think it could be something that I would want to have in there.
Yeah, in this
only
case-
from the resellers market point of view.
Right, but also don't think of this only in terms of, I've already answered that question, also think in additional backlink resources
Yes.
for later.
Yes.
What is the best source for online technical training? Okay. What are the current limitations in developing aircraft engine powered renewable green energy?
I think it's a bit of a tangent question, but a tangent market question, but it could be answered in some ways.
Kind of like the Well company who was made a motor-driven hand pump and couldn't figure out why they were selling so many in South India and found out that they were using it for a bicycle motor. Call this tangent market. I don't know how your company deals with tangent markets, but sometimes I have had several opportunities where I brought to the CEO a tangent opportunity that seemed so obscure to me that I couldn't believe that he was interested in it. Usually they're not, but it's something to have on your radar.
Yeah.
What are the current limitations in developing an air? I already did that. Sorry. What is the cheapest way to get wind energy? Hot or not?
Again, it's off
Not.
the principal topic, but
Not. Oh, okay. So your call. Don't let me influence the vote.
honestly, I guess I would leave it in.
What country is the best place to start a career in renewable energy? Whatever country they're not in.
Yes, yes.
Competitors. You want that or not? Hot or not?
I think it has some growth potential as a question from an employment standpoint for that business, because they're obviously expanding into other markets.
If I'm a person who is living in Berkeley and I just know I want to change, I know where I want to go, and I'm looking to get a job, and I know I want to have to craft my career around it. And I look online and I found your company. Am I somebody who can spread your gospel if I like what you're saying and doing?
Well, certainly, yeah, most certainly.
Am I likely to find you in Quora.com that has a PageRank 7? Yep. Or on your website with a link to PageRank.com?
Sure.
Yeah. So also think about who is potentially looking, and if you're in doubt at that point and the question is intriguing enough, you can go back to Quora and look and see what kind of person is answering it. And I also learned a lot about who's asking. Sometimes they'll see, oh, it is Mr. Berkeley, or somebody at Berkeley writing the question. It means that it's on their mind, and you can start learning about some microdemographics about them.
Right.
Okay. You can take this off later. When in doubt, leave it in. Which European country has invested the most in renewable energy?
I would leave it in only as an educational aspect.
Excellent.
Yeah, education too.
What schools are good for MS, PhD, renewable energy, power, electronics in the U.S.? Hot or not?
I would leave it out.
Okay. What are the top renewable energy experts? Hot or not?
Keep it in.
Put your boss in there? Yep. Definitely. What are the compelling renewable energy trends right now? Hot
Keep
or
it
not?
in.
How big is the global renewable energy industry? Hot or not?
Keep it.
What do investors think about renewable energy company Covanta?
I would leave it out.
How can we show people how easy it is to switch their electric bill to renewable resources?
Keep it in.
Who are the biggest private and or corporate investors in renewable energy in the U.S.? Hot or not?
I would keep it in the sense that it reinforces some of the channel partners that they're trying to attract.
I would agree based on my actual experience in green real estate investing is a lot of people who found our site were both investors and green interested, just by the name of the site. How much renewable energy was generated in the world in 2011?
Important topic.
Interesting. What kind of jobs can one expect to secure after graduating with associated renewable energy from Carrington? What is that?
Great college, man.
Huh?
Some specific college in the States? Or?
Yeah.
I think I would keep it in as an educational type of aspect to say that here are the kind of jobs that we have at Clev Energy that might suit what you're coming out of school.
The job board.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Are we doing enough to increase the use of renewable energy in the UK? Hot or not?
I would say educational, but tangent market.
Fine. What's the hottest renewable energy company in Aberdeen, Scotland?
Strip out that and put Picton, Ontario.
There you go. That's a good headline hunt. We're not hunting for headlines now, and we can use the Quora Bot again later when you're doing a Quora campaign. But for now, if you want to sort that now at the beginning, you can.
Yeah.
If you want to create a headline swipe sheet, you definitely can. Okay.
So what I do here is the topic just got a filter.
Okay, he's filtering.
Let's do that line again.
He's going to filter by X.
Yeah.
Right?
And you just say show me all the stuff by X. And that description
there you
is
have it.
32 headlines.
And that took us, what, Sue? 25 minutes? 20 minutes?
Half an hour.
And this is the most painful part of the IS to name process, and we've just accomplished a significant part. Now, additional things might be using your client's question,
Yep.
what we call the interview questions and the rest. I might put them on a separate spreadsheet, but for today, we're going to talk about these and probably take a break here for a quick second. And we're going to get right into creating the frequently asked question to should ask question
Absolutely.
transition.